IJBEL, as you can read here, is the shortcut for our International Journal of Business Events and Legacies. Under this umbrella, we run a series of talks, roundtables, like we have today, where we invite various stakeholders, professionals from the business event sector, and also from time to time academics, like today. So I welcome our special guests from London, Brunel University. We will discuss today our main topic, business events, particularly from a country in Europe, one of the big players, I would say, United Kingdom. The university and the colleagues are based in London, of course, metropolis with an interesting business context and structure background, and we will hear in which kind of context the colleagues are working. We have four colleagues today here. I start briefly introducing, but then I invite them to introduce themselves with a few more words. We have Professor Ainurul Rosli to my left, and then Dr. Chen Chang. And to my right, it's Dr. Sharifa Iwi and Dr. Asir Hosseini Tabagdi. I hope I spelled it correctly. Yeah, before we start discussing a few more details on the various perspectives of business events, you will hear from our colleagues. They use the term business support for business events, and this might relate particularly to SMEs, so to small and medium enterprises, and what they can do and they contribute in this space of business events. And then later on, we will also reflect a bit on our second key term on the legacy part of business events. But before we enter into this discussion, I would like to invite everybody on the table to introduce themselves briefly, to let our, say, audiences, online audiences, know who is on the table and with their background. So please.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's been a pleasure for us to be here today. So as what has been introduced, I'm Professor Ainurul Rosli, specializing in university industry collaboration and business engagement, particularly on enterprise development and support. So as you can see today, most of my insights and contribution will focus more on my experience leading a very big national program in the UK. And I hope that our conversation and dialogue today is going to be insightful, challenging. I hope so as well, because I think that's what we do, right? We want to have a development of new knowledge and conversation of that. So that's myself.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ainurul. My name is Jane Chang. I'm currently working as academic lead and also impact lead for the executive education program. But in the national program, what Ainurul is talking about, they help to grow, and also the buyback for growth program. So at the same time, here we also transfer the knowledge from UK to Malaysia, and we started this social innovation movement. So where I'm in charge of the social value of the intervention. That means we are talking about legacy. So I will be chipping in more information about legacy, how lives are being transformed and changed over time. So I'll pass the information to Asia.
Thank you. My name is Asia. I'm lecturer at the Program Director in International Business. My main focus and work collaboration with my research team is in small, medium enterprises, SME digital adoption, with a particular focus, how do they take into account different aspects and different perspectives, such as ethics, digital ethics when it comes to the privacy, information transparency, and so on. and I have this pleasure to work with Dr. Anora and Dr. Jay in this international program, Health Grow Management Program.
Thank you, Asia. Yeah, last but not least is me. I have a long name, Dr. Sharifa Farida Said Alwi, but I'm known as Sharifa Alwi. My area is corporate branding and communications, because my passion is always about helping small businesses or SMEs to build their identity from and how to communicate their brands, and especially knowing the financial limitations. So yeah, I'm very excited on the conversation, and I guess let's commence, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, before we really jump into the questions that I prepared for you, briefly a few words on my role, my person. I'm Andreas Zins. I'm currently the Dean of the Faculty of Business and also the Editor-in-Chief of the new journal that is hosting this event series. Yeah, of course, with these special guests, not only present virtually, but physically, we are very happy that you traveled all the way to Malaysia and to Sarawak Miri here. So we are eager to learn a bit more about what's going on in the business event sphere in the United Kingdom. Are there particularly initiatives that you would like to mention that involves business events? And I think this is what you mentioned, Ainurul, that you are even involved in a national program. So can you explain and comment a bit on that, please?
Thank you. I think this is an interesting sharing that we would like to share here, because it is the initiative that I'm actually currently leading at Brunel University London is the groundbreaking government scheme to boost productivity and future growth of the country through supporting small businesses. So we are looking into businesses that have an employee 5 individuals and above. So it's not about startups, but it's more about those who are running businesses. How can we make them bigger, grow better, and sustainable in the future? And this is actually a 220 million investment from the UK government, and it's actually being distributed across the university in the UK, where the focus is about not only capacity building for the businesses through the events that we organize, but also capacity building of the academics, handling and dealing with these businesses. As you can see, what we are doing is how can we connect better university and the businesses, community, and all of the stakeholders, making sure that a knowledge transfer perspective from the university into businesses. So when we talk about events, for example, in one programs we involve 12 sessions where businesses need to engage together as a business through small events and workshops, both digitally and physically. So I think there's a combination due to COVID, as you can see, is very important. And the alumni engagement at the end of the program is where the big events that come into the picture. And that is actually the association of these businesses that they wanted to be involved in. So I think before, maybe Jane, you actually involved hands-on with supporting these businesses. Maybe you could actually add more on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to find out why these business leaders are being pushed, to train and to work with academics. So of course, in their perception, I need to go back to school, and then they realize they need the knowledge. And the conversation between the academics, when we provide the theoretical knowledge, and there is this knowledge economy that is going on. Not only just the business leaders are learning, me as academics, I'm learning about the industries. I meet with the 25 business leaders and they're telling me, I'm in this industry, I'm in that. I was like, it's bonkers. They are so great. And I was just involved with students. So it really changed my perspective that I really need to be in the society, knowing what my research or my area can contribute to the society and to the industry. So that really changed me, the initiative. And now that's why I said I'm leading the academic lead as well as case impact lead. So I'm kind of training currently academics to be engaged scholars, to be part of on how to deliver to the business leaders, because it requires a different kind of skills than teaching students.
Yeah.
So do I understand that correctly, that the main portion or one of the support mechanisms is from the government to allocate funds to universities, and they translate that into, say, training, upskilling events to bring in, say, business owners or managers. And what type of, what is the content of the training? So this is what I would like to know. What is, can it be, or is it so huge, everything, or
It's really, it's everything. It's very huge. It's run by 22 universities.
50 now. So it started with 22, and on the second year, we are moving into the second year of the program. Now we have around 50 university business schools in the UK that are involved in that. So it's not only about that, and each one of the university contributing their academic to design the program together. So maybe Asia, you can talk about the digital adoption modules that we designed. So Brunel designed 3 out of 12 modules. So it's quite significant in terms of our contribution to the national program. And Asia, I think you designed that module with us. Maybe you could actually talk a little bit about how you link it with events as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Nuru. So we did design this module, which is more about digital adoption in SMEs, to bring more awareness to the small businesses, to know how to adopt in a new environment, which they've been pushed to become digital after COVID-19. Regardless of what was their size, they should have to become digital because they had no choice. And when they become digital, there are some areas such as ethical considerations, such as how do we take care of this big mega data has been created, which is, there are some sort of data, we call it digital footprint. So everything you clean, so you create the footprint. So everything you order, your footprint will create that. But how would SMEs be aware of that? And how would they take care of the ethical issues or implication could have on a digital footprint data? So then in digital adoption module, we try to develop SMEs understanding around how to digitally adopt, while they take into account different considerations such as privacy, such as information transparency when they put in their website, that is accessible, easy to read, and so on. And then we have done this through the different programs and different events.
So I think this is where I think, remember that the focus is a different types of events and sessions. So the one that Asia mentioned is about digital adoption. It's just a module where the webinar online. So all of these businesses get together online. But I think the one that Sharifah has actually designed on branding and positioning is actually designed for all of these business leaders coming together physically, and that is the difference of mechanism that we use on that.
Yeah. So I'm specialized on workshop based and clinic based. So small companies will come and ask help in terms of how they can move on with their business. So we tailor to each companies within the sessions, and we have a specialized, personalized to each business. And that helps a lot to clarify what they need, and it triggers interest to keep coming again. And these funds increase the engagement to the event. So more kind of like positioning and helping them to move on.
The case study, right? I think it's more about
and we use a lot of cases.
When I listen to this interesting, say, program and also your involvement, I immediately question myself. Is this something totally new for UK? Did the government run similar schemes before, or does it replace maybe schemes that were not so successful? I'm thinking about. This is now what you describe is some business support function or services that usually consultants would offer, but of course, not in a collaborative way, probably. So the approach might be different, but as I know, SMEs are usually not so easy to access to such type of, say consulting or training, or So what is your say?
It's a lot of hard work.
Of course, but from a the question is how effective finally, I know it's maybe too
Yeah.
early to
I think
conclude,
we're
but
the third year now.
We are will do it into the third year, but second year for this program. I think when you talk about like I will not whether it was replacing other program or not, I think COVID was actually the indication where the government trying to help businesses in a much more comprehensive way and a collaborative way because resources are limited, right? And how can we redistribute the current resources that the government have across different sectors? So what they did was that a collaborative approach, capacity building at both levels. And like, for example, if students are not able to come into the university, how are the universities going to create value and get profit? I mean, not really profit, it's income to actually maintain themselves. So in a way, it's actually killing two birds with one stone. Capacity building for this university to actually redevelop and upskilling, but we always talk about upskilling for individuals or businesses, right? We never talk about upskilling about us, like as an academic, right? So in that way, they've done it for the small business leadership program, where myself and Jay was quite involved in the first year, where we helped the UK government to design the program. Because it was so successful, they decided let's do it for the next 5 years. So this 220 million investment from the UK government is actually for the next 5 years, and we've gone through the first year of that. So in a way, it is actually replacing with a much more better collaboration. So previously it was only 20 business school involved, and this program now up to 50 business school involved. And as you can see, accessibility, right?
Yeah.
Accessibility.
This is a bit related to one of the follow-up question. Is there a particular geographic spread or coverage within UK? So is there some consideration, or is it kind of?
I think it's all over UK,
all over,
because all the different points are different. All the different business schools are involved.
Yeah.
And I think the process of collaboration, because the academics, the university are collaborating together, it sets an example to the business leaders, because universities are used to be very siloed.
Yeah.
And to have that collaboration, it was almost like we were like,
It's breaking that shop.
it's breaking that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a breakthrough. Yeah, it's a breakthrough itself. And we changed.
Yeah.
We used to compete with each other. Russell,
isn't it?
Russell,
Yeah.
Red Brick, kind of.
Yeah.
But now we all work together, whether you are Russell or whatever, Red Brick, whatever. So we work together.
It's indeed two flies by one stone.
Yeah.
Because it has also an impact changing the role of
It's changing,
universities,
changing the
right,
role.
and the involvement.
And the fact that we have to work together to prepare modules,
Yes.
it's
They
like,
pair us with different university, right?
we
Yeah,
prepare
and
different
at the same
universities.
time,
I work
in
with
Leeds, for
Yeah, you
example.
work with Leeds.
Leeds
for the
University,
study
yeah.
for branding.
And at the same time, industries, SMEs start to learn from each other. For example, one of the SMEs was very much involved with the AI and product design based on AI. Another SME was more about logistics. So then when they all did in one course, they learned from each other. And plus, it was a kind of network because COVID brought a big shock to the economy. So it was a crisis, it was global, it was uncertainty, everybody, SMEs worried. And then the various group of the SMEs learned from each other, and it was kind of a network hand to market.
So I
Because
think,
some of them then become each other's customers, isn't it?
especially the peer network group we have, because after each webinar, so they have 45 minutes of peer network every week. So the peer network actually become a synergistic where they form their own, supply demand
Ecosystem.
Yes,
Yes.
so persistent inside.
Inside.
That program.
Something that it's interesting from an outside perspective. You mentioned, this is a global phenomenon, the impact of COVID. Nobody mentioned so far Brexit.
Yes.
Is not a driver at all, or
Brexit is a driver, definitely.
it's so inferior compared to COVID. I don't know. How do you? What is your
Certainly Brexit
impression
was a driver.
from sitting inside? Did it impact on SMEs? Their options, to do. I think it had an impact on supply chains. It has probably an impact on their competitiveness.
I still remember one of the guy. He run a truck business.
Yeah.
And because of this Brexit, whenever it comes to class, use the word BLOODY. Say that anymore. I'm just sick of hearing. I said, you know what? I used to have thousands and thousands of orders, and now only my 73 trucks are running. because I can't find the drivers and
Yeah.
this long,
Yeah.
huge of paperwork and this and that. And it's
I mean, but
just
you
not
know,
moving.
but I want to reflect briefly is simply if there, because this might happen to other countries as well. Now everybody put the finger,
Yeah.
UK, you know.
Yeah.
But such disruptions of international say,
Yes.
trade and we see that with Ukraine. We see that I don't know with China. Can be pros and cons, but so it can happen
Everywhere, yeah.
So this is why I raised this question, but we probably can learn or what, but you know, we can take whether such programs, you know, can
Yeah.
really help bridging that disruptions.
So Brexit is a different phenomenon. Brexit was more about issue and crisis at the international level because then you can become outside the European Union and therefore that connection, international trade become affected. But the COVID, which was a different story, then it was more about everything become digital and then every area of concern for every country was and government was how to handle the digital perspective. In Brexit, and the issue related to Brexit, probably the best is now, particularly with the event industry which you're focusing on, then it has been greatly affected because then they had to go outside the border. And some of the business went outside, then how could they now combine this knowledge in terms of bringing those even international scales? So probably one of the things needs to be focused on is about how to become digital and capitalize on the technology in order to be able to get advanced and let's say enhance their interaction, cross-border interaction.
Yeah.
But still, even if they become outside.
Yeah. Of course, the digital is without boundaries.
That's
Almost,
it,
yeah.
digital without boundaries. Yeah.
Because I think for agency, right, they found it really difficult when Brexit happened. I mean, big companies out. I mean, their headquarters. They started to move. Which company that moved their headquarters outside? And those usually sponsors of these big events are the big multi-billion corporations, right?
Mhm.
So it's changed the landscape of events. It's changed the landscape of support. And I think what the UK government is currently doing is maybe because of that, the lens and focus is on small businesses because these are businesses who cannot go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then maybe
And
they
they
only
become international.
and they become international
So
through
the
digitization.
next platform is how to make SMEs international, like how could startup SME do business in London and we'll have with a
We will come back. We will address that.
Yeah, it's really about leveling up,
Yeah.
you know, for SMEs. And also, in fact, all the case studies that we use are actually practical. Those who have learned from the small business, those
Mhm.
successful.
Mhm.
And it's not just successful, those are the challenges they face. It's not like what you call it Cinderella stories, but it is real difficult and how to overcome. And we have a lot of information with the Department of Trade of Industry to come in to help how to expand your business internationally.
I want to reiterate kind of because it's a question for you particularly. I mean, how to consider what can we say learn or take from say these disruptions, you know, both COVID and Brexit for Malaysia. I mean, what are there some insights, and particularly with these support schemes or support programs for SMEs? There's something that you immediately see. I mean,
Maybe I can.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but learning from what UK is doing. Yeah, I know different culture, different industry context, but we have to have a systematic approach, synchronize. Maybe the government start. So, but every agency needs to come together. The funding needs to be one, and you know, every university is working towards the same goal. This is where I think what we can learn really, you know, from the UK, and it'll be great if we can have that because we had got lots of wonderful talents in Malaysia as well.
And I would suggest why not Sarawak would do that? You said, can Sarawak do that? And my question would be, why not? I think event is more touching back to our initial conversation we had. Event is more about knowledge exchange and bringing awareness. So if event industry can do to bring that awareness and create that environment and updates for different category of people to come and do this knowledge exchange and learn from each other, so the job done. And I believe, as a person who is focusing now on digital perspective, if there is
Sarawak become digitally well advanced digital. So Sky would be Sarawak's digital.
Yeah, I do agree with Asia. So actually what Sharifah has pointed out, it is our intention through the social innovation movement, we want to translate, to bring, many of you may see that we are brain drained, okay, okay, but no, we are not. We are circulating what we have learned in UK and bring it back to Malaysia. Yeah, via social innovation movement. In fact, our trips going around to different universities, we are trying to replicate what has been done in UK, okay, and also trying to speak to ministry, this is a little hard part because people are working very silo in the government state because they want to outdo each other. And then we find that some agencies are collapsed and then they can try to pick up that I'm the one achieving. So we find it, so we rather want to work with the universities. So that's why we were very much involved in the research agenda with the University of Malaya, and then working with the Malaysia Higher Education on this. First, train our academics to be an engaged scholar through impact agenda. So that's our strategy. And now that we have trained and try to come out, create that culture of engaged scholarship among the academics, we are moving towards the university, asking them, would you like to be involved?
To create that avenue. Yeah, I think the engaged scholars is quite important. I think engagement, we can say that engagement with businesses, engagement with the community, engagement with us as a collaborators, as an academy is really important. So at the end of the day, it's all about how we plan and to collaborate to create a better ecosystem to do something that we want to do. What is the ultimate purpose of of the collaboration? So in the case of the Hub to Grow management, is more about supporting small businesses, and each of the business school that involved understand that we are here to support our local businesses. And in fact, like for example, if one of the businesses registered to us but actually located in Manchester, for example, we have to pass over the local university that you should actually work with is
contact point.
Contact point. So it's about passing. I think it's another example that we unfortunately had to postpone our cohorts for August to allow our academics, our facilitators to have a rest, and also to make sure that Jane can travel with us. In a way, it means that some of the businesses who are not able to postpone to September cohort, we actually ask them, okay, you could actually go to this university or that university. So this collaborative approach is the mentality that we are here. We are trying to create a bigger piece of pie, although we are getting a much more smaller slice, but that smaller size is actually much more bigger in terms of the percentages rather than a small pie. So it's creating a bigger pie rather than a small pie.
Because there is no competition.
Yes,
it's very much collaboration.
Very much collaboration.
Yeah, and that's where we create a big legacy project rather than just like a one shot, there you go, oh, we've done this, tick a box, right? So everybody know that this is investment that the university made, the government made, and we celebrate all of these businesses. And each university are required to send their case study. And impact, they call it impact case study, but impact businesses that achieve that impact, so that they can actually be shown at the national level. So it's about celebration. I think that's what events is all about, right? Celebration, engagement, fun. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
There's continuity, and continue transformation. And what we discovered in Malaysia was it's quite difficult. So I think we need to go back to our home ground, that is with academics, how to be engaged scholars, and open the mind about working with companies.
I think it's a paradigmatic
Yes.
issue, right? But it's interesting to see and to hear that it happens. And I don't know, is it accelerating due to COVID? Probably. Yeah.
Well, I think it's because you can only get this money if you collaborate.
So this also requires a change of mindset in those funding agencies, ministries.
Yes.
So, and this is interesting to see, to observe.
That criteria needs to be adopted with the main agenda of collaboration.
So the performance have been changed, how they assess the performance evaluation. If you don't get the recruitment, you don't teach and make sure the attendance is like 90% or 70%, you don't get the money.
So it forced business school to really engage with the businesses because it's a performance based. Because I think previously all of the performance evaluation for university is how many papers you publish, right? Then you can get this research funding. how many, I don't know what else. It's about
How many workshops you
grants,
go,
yeah,
how many
grants you go.
conferences.
Yeah.
What is the students' feedback?
Student feedback. So this one is that if you're not able to complete, if the participant, which is the businesses, did not attend 70% of the session, you're not going to get paid. So that way, it forced the university to really engage. Can you give any feedback? How can we make it better? So it's actually a very good capacity building exercise.
Yes, but we are working towards it. So I think we are getting there. I think through the NGO, our Social Innovation Malaysia, we are really pushing hard, and all of us now are in the committee. So they will all have the similar mindset.
Yeah.
So we are pushing and transferring what we know, and to change the mindset of the university first. To work together. And I think we have done pretty well. We have 30 case studies.
30 case study for universities.
For the universities on the academics
Research impact.
on their research impact, on how they want to change the society, how their research. So we have 30 of them, which is pretty good.
It brings me back to two keywords that you used previously in that statement, impact and legacies. And I would like to draw now a bit the discussion to these keywords, particularly talking and reflecting on the meaning and what can we think about when we use legacies that you mentioned that in the context of your activities, so the interaction between universities and SMEs and of course government schemes. Government was also an important part in this scenery. But you mentioned that you want to, or you see something bigger than only running workshops, counting numbers and so on, but a legacy that is hopefully remaining or lasting, right? I think I interpret, I'm questioning, and I think it's open for a bit more discussion. What do you see from your background where you are engaged, and maybe we can also relate it a little bit more to general business events and SMEs, what we can understand or what you observe as other legacies, other legacies than universities and the players have to or do change their mindset, from competition to more collaboration and so on. So I think this is something which I would call a legacy. The more people and institutions engaging and working under such a mindset, a different mindset and paradigm, and the more successful it is, the more kind of more people will subscribe to and believe, this is a model that can help us. But I would like to go beyond that on reflection, what we are doing or you are doing, in this program. But reflecting on impacts on societies, on communities, probably any observation or any.
I'll have a quick start.
Yeah.
So every university in Malaysia, just like what we learn in UK, have their own strength. By developing a community, this strength can collaborate together and contribute to that event, and that benefits the university as well as the businesses.
But questioning back critically, if as universities, of course, we love or we are even driven to organize such events, particularly academic knowledge exchange events, and we're happy to do that. We get our rewards, right? Our credits. So that's it. If we produce such events with 100, 200 paper presentations and publications thereafter, we are done. We are fine, right? We achieve our goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why you mentioned thinking about something bigger?
We recognize that we actually would like to help the local business and then transfer our knowledge to the international.
Yeah, and I think that's the investment that they make when they look into the value. This is actually our value and vision. They started doing a recruitment. Well, they recruited me university to lead that area of focus. And I think when we talk about legacy, if we're talking about Brunel, I mean, what we've learned of working with Brunel and how they've changed our values, which then leads to a different investment to the local community that they're trying to make, the impact they're trying to make. It's in a simple term, it's actually representing the achievements. What is the achievement being known in the local community? At the end of the day, no point of we being known for example, Brunel being known in Malaysia, but their own local community don't know them and don't really take advantage of them. What's the meaning of legacy then? I think legacy means that it's about focusing on the future and leading by example every day on the local community, and living in a purposeful way. And we talk about individuals' legacies. Usually, we want to make sure that the businesses has a legacy, right? With somebody else to take over that business. But at the university level, or at the program level, it's more about how can we impact the local community. So in the Help to Grow, it's about how can we impact the small businesses community in the UK, given the fact that we know about the issue of COVID, Brexit, the Ukraine situation, so many things that we want to make a mark. And that is actually what is. And one thing that I want to add on that, at the end of the day, for big event or big institution like university, it's about institutionalization. I think our issue is that if we have one employee that is great at doing things, and we let that person lead everything, which then when their person is actually no longer there, what would happen, right? And I think it works with events as well. You have this fantastic person that actually handle all of this big event, and then suddenly that's not there, and it's dropped out. And I think the issue about legacy is not about all of the, one thing is about purpose, values, and so on, but we forgot that in order for us to maintain the legacy, we need institutionalization. We need a system to put in place so that it can still last, it's maintained in the future.
Yeah, and if I add to that, legacy is more about, as Professor Noor said, that it's more about having the event which is remarkable. To remember that. Then how can we have that in academia? So, we are the academic. How can we bring that to the society? So then it goes back to more adapted Gen 630, creating impact. What does that impact mean? Meaning that doing something so activity in society is sustained for a longer time. So that is how then everybody will consider it as a remarkable event and remember it. So then probably perhaps one area of focus should be receiving more support, maybe perhaps from the government, in order to be able to create that sort of event, which allow the people from different backgrounds to come and exchange knowledge, which as a result later can be measure in the practice and operation as an impact and stay for a longer period of the time.
Maybe before Jane actually explain about the case study impact that we've done, I just want to add on the importance of being purposeful. We can run an event to get all of the businesses, like for example, in Small Business Expo, we can do that. But what's the purpose of it? What is the purpose of it? And I think what the government have done, the UK government have done is that if we are here to support small businesses, what are different kind of mechanisms that we can put in place to make sure that we can leverage different types of events to put all of these things together? At the end of the day, it's towards one purpose. And it becomes a consolidated effort towards this legacy that we want. At the end of the day, if you decompartmentalize what is the program is all about, it's just a session of online and offline events where these businesses can gather together, exchanging knowledge with the academic experts and also between themselves on how they can actually grow their business. That is a simple method, right? But what we've done previously, let's run this one event together and another event. Because it's successful, let's another event. And I think that's the legacy missing there because it's not purposeful. Here, it's very purposeful. And that, if you ask me how much we spend on events, running a case study. When we run a case study, what do you eat, Jane? Right? Because one case study event is a half a day event.
Yeah.
And if you have 12 cohorts times 12, that's quite a lot of event. We even have our event manager to actually coordinate business support program. How can that be? It's not just a business support program. But I think having that purpose put a whole different perspective on the legacy.
Can I just chip in communication?
Yeah.
We are so lucky on communication. For every stage, starting from refreshing your essence to from the government communication to university, between university communication, internal and external. If you like corporate communication here, or institution communication needs to be strong. Because if you don't tell people why the university or even the university, they don't understand why do we need to collaborate with Nusim Laya, why UKM, why UPM, so you're CURTIN or UITM. So communication needs to be very clear. So this is, maybe we are getting there, but not yet quite there yet. So the corporate communication is part of expressing it all the way. So people are informed all the time about the purpose. Enhanced.
So you have your own kind of communication manager?
Now, I do communications a lot, but not.
No, because you said you have an event manager, even coordinating. I mean, having
We have programs at different levels.
It's very autonomous by itself.
no, but
There are even 3 placement students helping the running around all of the event, because sometimes we have like consecutive events. Part of the business
I
program.
think one of the success of this legacy thing, whatever, it's the engagement of all the different stakeholders, the academics, the business leaders, and in particular, business leaders especially engage with their customers. What we have seen is that, you see, one of the modules was they have to go and reach out to their customers if they have issues that they need to pivot or whatever they need to do. They need to find out what they need to do in order to improve, to internationalize, to grow new markets, to win new customers. So we taught them, you need to know your customers and how to position your business and in line with all the SDGs what's going on. So they need to be on trend and to be really authentic. This is just so important. So I think all throughout, I think we have cross-cutting teams. And one of the things was diversity. And for this year is resilience and productivity. Of course, it will never stop there because SMEs are really poor in productivity, so it's about how to scale up. So that team was very sure in terms of how to be effective. And each business leaders, they always share about how they become effective, and they learn from each other. And I learned as well how to be effective. And for universities, in order to have that legacy, is to have engaged scholars. Scholars who want to contribute to the society with their research for uptake. And this is just so important. We were the very minimal people who are engaged. We were like a bit, what do you call it? The mavericks. Back at Westminster, we were like considered, what are you doing? You're not doing what the normal academics are doing. Teaching. Why are you running an entrepreneurship course that have all the mentors who are industrial leaders, and we call them entrepreneur in residence coming in? Why are you changing the assessment, evaluation? Why do you have to do real projects? Why can't you just have a hypothetical one and just write business? I'm like, that's not real. How can you train entrepreneurs when they are not practicing?
So reflection, try to summarize a bit how to focus. I dropped in this new buzzword legacies and how we can leverage more legacies or have more lasting impact on various elements in a bigger system society, and you illustrated it now from the perspective of a university interacting with the mostly business community, leaving the students aside, not because they are not important, but it's another leverage and another legacy, hopefully, right? No, but focusing on that interaction on that platform. I try to get it to bracket package, ship it to Malaysia.
Another thing that we are coming out is we are developing case studies, case model studies from our research with the small business, and then bring it back to the classroom. That's what I'm doing right now.
This is another bridge to address this legacy. Correct. I mean, you described it, and I try to, also for those who listen, maybe for the outside world of academics. I mean, but I consider that still as a very, very important thing, and maybe paradigm change. It happens also outside UK and Malaysia, it happens
Every-
not everywhere, but
Yeah,
in
it's everywhere.
many countries, where universities have to change their role, their identity,
approach.
their approach, correct? And now, of course, we also cannot do everything which is possible. You focus on SMEs, and this is what I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
reflect again. And here, my understanding is that the legacy is to kind of to open up the mindset, both sides, those who share knowledge, produce knowledge, or try to help, and those who need. And you said from the very beginning, we also learn the lasting. I mean, what is the lasting effect? This is what I try to understand. Of course, a better survival rate of SMEs, probably, right? I mean, not only expansion, but survival is, I mean, the minimum, right? I mean, there are many that fail. Maybe you can, through such support structures, can avoid that or reduce the, let's say, the failure rate. Of course, expansion, adaptation in times of, say, disruptions where it's not so easy to plan and to forecast and say, okay,
Resilient.
so resilience to make the SMEs more resilient. And then maybe another, help me. I think we try to
become more innovative and do
Say-
more innovation.
yes. So innovativeness or
Survive crisis.
is something that is not only the next quarter or half year effect that you can measure,
I
but
How could you become innovator? It's more about then you become more challenged, I think.
I think one of the impact that we measured was to be very good decision makers.
yeah,
The business leaders.
this is also
Yeah.
commonly a deficiency in
Yes.
business
They can't
owners or
decide,
managers that
Because usually when we measure output and outcome and impact, I think these are the three elements that we look into. It's not only about the longer term, but for example, what is the purpose agenda for the UK government in investing in this 222 million, right, in the next 5 years? It's because they understand how can we create a bigger piece of pie, right? It means that increase productivity for SMEs. If, for example, all of the big corporations are running away from the London as their main main office, that's actually there's a black hole that need to be filled. Who's going to increase the GDP in terms of the economy on that? So you look into it's the 5 years agenda that we need to look into leveling up and growth in terms of SMEs. SMEs, you can only grow if you're able to sustain, if you're able to actually make a better decision.
Yeah.
So we go to the basic of decision making as part of the outcome that we look into for these business leaders, because if they can make better decisions, they will be able to do better investment and better recruitment, which then increase their productivity. So at the end of the day, it's a productivity agenda that we are talking about here.
But I also take is say the change a bit of paradigm, maybe not so much. I would not call it paradigmatic from the SME perspective, but what you mentioned before, the way you collaborate among universities and maybe coordinating agencies. I think this is, if it is really successful over a couple of years, you cannot immediately say after a year it's okay or not. But if this turns out to be successful, then in my opinion, this has kind of a the essence of a legacy that. Maybe you subscribe to that different approach. There is something not directly connected, but in research grants, big research grants, there are two paradigms. Fostering individual researchers versus large teams, of sometimes hundreds, and there is not a clear way what is the best. We have there are waves for a couple of decades now, also European Union grants, big research groups, and we see that sometimes really brilliant and outstanding initiatives come from single or relatively
Single
small,
organization.
from small initiatives. So I mean, it will not change entirely, but this is what I also see. Governments in many countries, universities, they tried some approaches, with highly competitiveness and so on. And now, I mean, we maybe find out that collaboration is also an interesting thing, that maybe is enabling different things or more things and more enduring things. I don't
think it's going to be essential.
So this is what I see. I mean, it's something fluid. We cannot say, okay, this is the solution for forever. But I think it looks like for me that so it's something that we can help develop it.
Knowing who is the ecosystem builder, because if you really understand what ecosystem means, it's like each of the stakeholders know their role, and it's actually autonomous, right? Ecosystem is about something that understand each of the stakeholders understand what is their goal, right? If you look into the jungle, for example, without one small insect, the ecosystem goes haywire. So I think university is actually in a good position to be this ecosystem builder. Initiate initiative, albeit quite small at the beginning, but with the correct collaboration, it will then create into a bigger ecosystem, a better and sustainable ecosystem. And that is where the legacy comes into the picture. It won't happen overnight, but collaboration is all about making sure that we are able to create better social value. And I think maybe, when we talk about in the UK, it's not that they're accepting this in understanding about the social value. They focus more on the hardcore numbers, right? We give the output. We give this investment, how much companies that you are managing to support, how much value that you've created, how much profit that these businesses are able to create. They forgot that these businesses are able to have better profit because they make better decisions. So the impact should be about the long-lasting impact of these individual business leaders. That's where social value. And I just want to congratulate Dr. Jane Chang. She's the first associate social value practitioner in Malaysia. So basically, she actually looks into this evaluation and measurement for social impact and social value in terms of how can an intervention, all of the impact that happens through an intervention can be equated to monetary return. And I think that's something interesting avenue for the future on us understanding what is the legacy it's all about.
I'm fascinated. I take your two statements as a conclusion.
Yeah,
because I think there is no better summary, and of course it directs us to our role as academics, as universities, in this knowledge transfer, knowledge dissemination, and creating external value much outside our own boundaries and silos. But it's a fantastic, I find it's a fantastic summary that you gave, and what we can take home. And you mentioned, of course, that it's not something that only happens in the UK or in London or here in Miri. You personally bridge this world. So I'm very now grateful that you also highlighted that again. Because here, this is exactly what was on my agenda for today, for this studio, to see, okay, and what can we learn? I mean, from this exchange that you also travel, change places and perspectives. And I think we took quite some essential things out of this conversation. And I hope that also for those who listen to our discussion this afternoon, it was interesting and has the potential to make an impact on the way we think about it. And this brings me back to our journal, where we try to address these questions, these challenges, where we can go beyond the immediate production output of services, whatever we do. Together associated, linked with business events, to consider okay, is there something beyond that, and whether we can have an total control or good intentions at least to go beyond these immediate output effects that are traditionally very important, but we all know that it's not the only thing that is helps us to sustain developments, right, and to stabilize developments or structural changes in society. We need more. Yeah, and this I think was a fantastic discussion with you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining.
And thank you for inviting us. We enjoy the conversation as well.
Yeah. It's been an honor to be here.
Thank you. And it's a passion subject, isn't it? We're really passionate about the topic. So.
Yeah, I think we could have it much longer, but we conclude and close today's IJBEL studio. So thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.